Hi everyone, my name is Anna Canseco and I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. And welcome to my House Immigration channel where we share tips and information about Canadian immigration. And today we are going to do a general overview of what a visa application entails. So let's get started. Now, to visit Canada as a tourist, you either need an ETA or what is known as a visitor visa, depending on your country of citizenship and the passport that you're going to use to travel. Now, there are certain countries that are still visa required, but whose citizens can travel to Canada by air with only an ETA if they meet certain requirements. Countries like Argentina, Mexico, Brazil, Philippines, and some others. Now, it's important to note that if you're from one of those countries and you're planning to travel to Canada by land or sea, then you need to apply for a visitor visa. An ETA is only for air travel. Now, an ETA is a very quick online application. It's less expensive than a visitor visa, but you need to be careful. It's still an immigration application. So you should still take this seriously. And we can talk about an ETA in another video, but today I just want to focus on visitor visas. So this is also done online, but it's a much more complicated application and you need to provide a lot more information and supporting documents. So what I want to do today is to talk about what is being assessed by the officer when they review your visitor visa application. The idea here is that you would be able to see your application through the eyes of the officer. And I hope that this will then make it easier for you to fully understand what documents and what information you need to provide in your application. Now, for your visitor visa to be approved, you need to satisfy the officer that you would leave Canada after the end of your stay. How do you do this? Well, here's where you think about showing that you have a return ticket. Here's when all those documents that show proof of ties to your home country also come into place. So if you have a job back home, family back home, if you're going to school, if you have financial assets, if you have properties, just anything you can show that you have something that ties you back to your home country, something that's going to reassure the officer that you have waiting for you back home. Now, you also have to show that you have enough money to support yourself and your family members during your stay in Canada. Now, here's where you need to provide proof of funds. Now, there's a specific section in the application where they actually ask you how much money are you bringing with you. And there's no magic number here. What you need to do is to make like a rough calculation and see, okay, so how much is going to be for a round trip for everyone, and then a hotel or accommodations. If you're staying with someone, then explain, well, I'm staying with my family members, and there's a space in the application where you can explain in that section of funds available. Now, of course, you then need to prove that you actually have those funds with you. And that's where you go with your bank statements. Now, it's not enough to just prove that you have money in the bank. You also need to prove where that money comes from. There's also, there's also a question in the application where it says, well, is someone else giving you the money? Because sometimes you get help from family members. And in that case, you should also explain who is giving you the money and where is that money coming from. So it would be the proof of funds from your family member. And remember, all documents are not in English or French, have to be translated. Now, you also need to satisfy the officer that you will abide by the law and not be a risk to security or the health of Canadians. Now, you do this by answering background questions. And this may seem very simple, but these are very important. You need to pay very close attention to these questions. There's a specific question about previous refusals, or denied entries to other countries. These are very important because if something happened and there's a record and um, you don't disclose that in your application, then you're going to have issues, and you want to avoid that. The golden rule is always be forthcoming with the information. Now, there's also some questions about criminality and whether you have been convicted or charged of a crime. And this is something that you need to pay close attention to. There is a difference between having been convicted and having been charged of a crime. There are two different questions, and you need to answer both. And you need to keep in mind that countries do share information. So this is basically a general overview of what the officer is looking for at the time of assessing your application. I hope that by understanding what the officer is looking for, it would be easier for you to complete your application. If you have any questions, please reach out. Remember, you can always find our weekly blogs and our contact information at marehouseImmigration.ca. Thank you, take care, goodbye.